We got here at 7:30 and there was already at least 100 people I could count. When you get this many people together and then slowly the residents are starting to come out and they're starting to work on their yard, people get inspired and they see people cleaning up their communities and they want to get involved in it. It's very important to give back. Everybody should be doing it. It's so easy to take, but when you give back, you feel so much better. Everybody's having fun. We're working hard, but we're all having fun.
It's also a way to get together community organizations such as churches, such as the civic clubs, and the schools together to work in terms of beautifying a neighborhood. It also just makes a big difference in the safety of the people who live here. We have volunteers who come every project that we have. We get a great turnout from Paramount High School, both from the JROTC and other school groups on campus. We also have a great turnout from local people in the community, but we could use more. We can always use more volunteers for all of our events.
It's also teaching the kids to understand the value of this is their city and to take care of it, and also help around the city and help the elderly clean up their yard, take out the trash. It's all part of the program where we have community service support learning projects. The city gives a lot to the public, so it really does mean a lot. And then there's a lot of things that they actually learn, as well as helping out the city, mentorship, leadership, communications, all these skills, which is also part of the program of JROTC.
It's a blessing to be out here and helping out others. People need the smile, the happiness that we bring, and I'm here for that.
It means building strength, it means building a bond between neighbors, the city, our police forces out here, our sheriff deputies, everyone coming together for a purpose, and the purpose is to beautify the neighborhood.
I think this is very unique for the city to bring out churches and schools and JROTC and a bunch of volunteers and just collaborate. It makes us feel like we're part of this. Even though I live on the other side of Paramount, I can walk through this neighborhood right now and start talking to residents, and they're just super thankful that we're taking the time out of our Saturday morning just to come to be a part of this. Come volunteer. This is a great opportunity to get to know your neighbors and to see what the city of Paramount's doing.
If I run to the grocery store or if I run just into the park, you see those residents, they'll come up to you and say, thank you, Senora Vilma, for coming out and helping us and talking to us and asking us what are some other needs in the city? What else can we do for you? And I hope everyone in the city of Paramount comes and participates in one of these programs that we have, and we come out to their neighborhood just to beautify their neighborhood.
I know how you feel. It's like you're... I feel... Huh? Easy. Gonna fly through it? We're gonna fly through it. That's my intention. Just that we'll get together for that Fanny Park. That's all. That's it. That's it. That's what I'm. That's all. And if you girls say, I'll say, I have nothing to report.
I'm sure someone will say it.
I don't have to say it either. Peggy, she was going through the drive-thru at Starbucks. She called and asked if I wanted something. That's sweet. Did she ask you too?
You better.
So we're waiting on her right now. Okay. We're waiting for Peggy. Yeah. You know, you look good without makeup, right? You look good. I put the cover of makeup. Oh, okay. Council, are we ready? Yep, we're ready. Okay, good evening, everyone. Before I call the meeting to order, may I please call forward Adrian Lara Escobedo and Ian Romero, who are joining us tonight as our co-student mayors of the day. Okay, please sit next to me. Thank you. Student Mayor for the Day is a new partnership program between the city and Paramount Unified School District. Every month, different schools of our district will select a deserving 4th or 5th grader to join us as Student Mayor of the Day. As Student Mayor, they will help us call our meeting to order and lead with the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, let us call this meeting, grab your gavels. I call this meeting to order on January 28, 2025. Our student mayors will now help us lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Student Mayor Escobedo.
Everyone, please stand.
Okay. Student Mayor Romero. Put your right hand over your heart and say, ready, begin.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, our students, Student Mayor Escobedo.
We will now take roll.
And Student Mayor Romero. Miss City Clerk.
Miss City Clerk, may we please have the roll call?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Aguayo.
Here.
Councilmember Olmos. Here. Councilmember Quer Stallings.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lemons.
Here.
Student Mayor Escobedo.
Here.
Student Mayor Romero.
Here.
Mayor Delgadillo.
Present.
All present.
Next, we will be sharing a quick video from the city's donation drive that benefits LA wildlife victims and first responders. It has been so heartwarming to see our community come together to support our neighbors in need. Let's watch the video.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that video. Now, with my fellow colleagues, please join me at the podium as we recognize our student mayors of the day. Grader from Wesley Gaines Elementary. He was selected by his school because of his hard work and leadership skills that help to amplify other student voices while learning. Outside of school, Mayor Escobedo enjoys spending time with his family and playing sports like soccer and football. In the future, he would like to attend a very good college and play professional soccer, hoping to be a positive role model for his little sister and members of our community someday. Mayor Ian Romero is a 5th grade student from Los Cerrillos Elementary School. He was selected to represent Los Cerritos because of his dedication to learning, perseverance in growing, and his kindness in supporting other students. For the past 2 years, Ian has been a member of the Los Cerritos Ambassador Club, which supports inclusive play with other students. He is also currently serving as a PlayWorks junior coach, working with transitional kindergartners, kindergarten, and 1st grade students. Fun facts. Mayor Romero brings a notebook to school every day, which allows him to organize his ideas in different categories. These ideas are used to help him fulfill his dreams one day of becoming a video game designer. Thank you both for representing the city of Paramount and the Paramount Unified School District so well. We are proud to present to you with this gavel and certificate to commemorate your hard work. This is yours, and this is yours, Adrian. And we have your gavel here. Yes, sweetheart, thank you. Here you go, and this has your name right there. Would either of you like to say a few words? No? This one would. Okay, come on. Come on up. Okay, go ahead, sweetheart.
I would like to thank the mayor for choosing me to become mayor for the day. I am very grateful for this opportunity.
We're going to take a picture, sweetie.
And then we can do it separately.
Yes.
Let me have you stand here.
Right over here, sweetie.
Right back there on the carpet. Let's help.
Yeah, the family pictures, please. The families would like to come up for a photo with, yes, yes, please come. Adrian's family first.
Okay, go ahead, Adrian. You go in the middle first. All right. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Okay, everyone over here, big smiles. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Let me have you take one more photo there.
Thank you.
These ones are on Snug Mug.
That's right. Right over here. 1, 2, 3, smile. Awesome. We're going to take one more. 1, 2, 3, smile. Very good. Thank you.
Yay.
And Ian's family and anybody who would like to come out and take a photo? Okay. All right. You want to hold your certificate too? Right there in the middle. If we can have mommy just squeeze in here. Yes.
Sure.
There we go. And then let me have you stand right here, okay? We may have to go out. Do I need to go up here? Oh, yes. We have a big family. Yes. They sneaked up on me. Okay, let's go ahead and move back here so that way we can have more space. Yeah. Yes. Okay, I'm going to have everyone follow us right here to the back. We're going to come this way. Okay, if I can have Ian and Mom be here, right front and center. And let me have the kiddos right here in the front. Right here. Good job. And then let me have you right here. And then can I have a couple of stand right here? And then I'll have you stand. Okay, ready? Everyone look over here first. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go. One more photo. One more.
All right, my friends. All eyes up here. Looks great. We'll take 2 photos, okay? 1, 2, 3, smile. Awesome. Ready? Thank you. Ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you.
Yes, we have. Yes. Ian, stay over here. Since we're already here, we can have it. So I'll have 2 on this side, and then can I have 2 on this side as well? This side. Oh, got it. Okay, sounds good. Yes. Let me have you here. Yes. And then let me this side. No, scoot in a little bit more. There we go. Oh, perfect. Yes.
Maybe some on that side. Yes.
Can I have you come on this side, please, if you don't mind? Thank you so much. Just a little bit. Yes, that works. That works. Short. That's all. I'm short. Forgive me. All right, big smiles.
All right, my friends. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move a little bit. All righty, folks. Perfect. 1, 2, 3. Big smiles. Excellent. Thank you.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Presentations
for this evening. We will now take a 5-minute recess and resume the business portion of our meeting shortly. Thank you.
Allergies?
I am. Moreno, are there any public comment updates from the last city council meeting?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we do have several, so I'll try and get through them as quickly as possible. The first commenter that is on the list here was Miss Yesenia Cuarenta. Miss Cuarenta mentioned her interest in applying for a grant through the Safe Trek program, which is a state grant. She requested the city's support for applying to this program. Staff confirmed that they did receive the email from Ms. Cuarenta and encouraged her to apply to the program and inform us if she is awarded the grant. The next speakers were all from the mobile home parks. We had two of them from Rio Puente, Ms. Carolina Rios and Mr. Hector Ramirez. From the Cinderella Mobile Home Park, we had Alfredo Galdamez, Gloria Madrigal, Ofelia Rosco, Juan Flores, and Michael Latimer. From Cherryfield, we had Gabriela Arambila, and from MH Action, we had Brooke Irvin. And they all are in support of some form of rent control due to the increasing rent. They express support for moderate rent increases. They ask for the city's support. They also, one mention about high trash collection fees being charged. So she requested our help with that as well. So the response to that is that the Homeless Ad Hoc City Council Committee is actually scheduled to meet with the mobile home property owners and the mobile home residents on January 30th, 2025, which is this Thursday at Progress Park Plaza at 4:15 p.m. This meeting, which is facilitated by the city, will be the start of a discussion between the residents and the owners and also subject matter experts to reach a consensus on an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, that will include terms such as rent increase and other responsibilities. At the end of the negotiation process, a public meeting will be held to present the terms within the MOU. So we essentially have 3 resident representatives and 3 owner representatives that will be discussing the MOU and negotiating that. And once again, that meeting is scheduled for this Thursday at 4:15 p.m. at Progress Park Plaza. So we hope to see them all there for that meeting. And lastly, we had Michelle Rivera. She submitted an email expressing frustration for the lack of improvements in security, parking, and housing conditions in her neighborhood. Staff communicated with her to schedule a meeting to further discuss the concerns, and we have not heard back from her on a date. So we are still waiting on that one. And that concludes public comment updates from the January 14th council meeting, Madam Mayor, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moreno. Now we will move to public comments. Now is the time that members of the public may comment on items that are not on tonight's agenda. As a reminder, during this portion of the meeting, speaking time is limited to a total of 30 minutes. At the conclusion of that time, if there are additional speaker cards remaining, those speaker cards will be heard after the last item under new business. Please, as a courtesy, to maximize the time available during public comment, please refrain from clapping and limit your comments to items not raised previously. Mr. Moreno, are there any speaker cards at this evening, sir?
Yes, Madam Mayor, there are. We have a number of them. First, we do have one for item number 4, Mr. Bo Bianchi. So, Mr. Bianchi, we'll go ahead and call you up when that item is heard. So for general public comment, our first speaker card is from Mr. Adrian Landa from World Energy. Mr. Landa?
Distinguished staff and kid mayors. Thank you for the opportunity to provide you with an update on a couple of important activities taking place at the facility at World Energy. My name is Adrian Landa. I do the government community relations for World Energy. First, I'd like to inform you about our upcoming regulatory fire drill. which will be conducted in collaboration with local first responders and which will be taking place on Wednesday, February 5th from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is a joint exercise between our facility staff and the fire department, and its purpose is to ensure that both our team and emergency personnel are well prepared in the event of a real emergency. We expect fire trucks to arrive as part of this drill, and while this may cause some concern, I want to reassure the community that this is a planned routine exercise with no cause for alarm. Fire drills are an essential part of maintaining safety in our facility. They allow us to practice evacuation procedures, ensure that everyone knows their roles, and help us identify any areas where we can improve our emergency response plan. Most importantly, fire drills give our first responders the opportunity to familiarize themselves with our facility's layout, ensuring a more efficient and coordinated response should an actual emergency arise. We are actually very, very grateful for their partnership in this important exercise. Secondly, I'd like to update you on our planned turnaround, which will occur from February 28th to March 30th. This is a temporary halt, will allow us to make significant improvements to the facility's infrastructure and systems. It's basically a tune-up of the facility. These enhancements will help us provide better services, ensure a long-term sustainability of our operations, and we are working diligently to minimize disruptions, and we'll continue to keep the public informed as we proceed with these important upgrades. Lastly, and related to and prior to the planned turnaround, my team and I will be canvassing and reaching out to the neighbors adjacent to the facility and providing them with fact sheets that we've developed about the planned turnaround and other fact sheets on our operation mechanisms, which will also have our contact information. If folks have additional questions, we do have a 24/7 community helpline in which a site operator will be available to take their questions. And the number for that community helpline is 562-531-2060. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to continuing to serve our community with a focus on safety, hiring locally, and supporting community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I
Yes.
just ask one question for World
Yes.
Energy? For the fire drill, are you putting something out on Facebook? Are you communicating in case the residents see that a lot of fire trucks are going? So what's your plan for that?
That's a great question. So we actually have drafted social media posts.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be able to share that as well, John, just
Sure.
get it out.
Once we get it, absolutely.
Perfect.
Sure, for
Madam
sure.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Okay, our next speaker, Madam Mayor, is Ms. Carolina Rios from 6656 Rosecrans Avenue, the Rio Puente Mobile Home Park. And Ms. Rios is also part of the committee that will be negotiating for the MOU on Thursday.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Carolina Ríos. Yo vivo en la ciudad de Paramount, en Río Puente Mobile Home Park, por 22 años. La razón por la que estamos haciendo esta petición es porque no podemos estar pagando tanto aumento cada año. Les pido por favor nos ayuden, somos familias de bajos ingresos. Vivir en estas casitas sí es verdad, no es tan cómodo, pero no nos alcanza para algo más. Lógico, cada quien tiene un sueño americano de una casa, pero no tenemos los recursos. Yo estoy grande, me quisiera jubilar, pero honestamente con la cantidad que me darían no sobreviviría. La inflación cada día está más cara. Por esta razón necesitamos apoyo de ustedes con el control de renta. Queremos el 3% anual, no el 8 o el 10% como no lo hacen cada año. Aparte taxis, cobros excesivos en el bill de la renta. Esto es por toda mi comunidad, porque todos somos una familia que debemos de ayudarnos, apoyarnos, y somos familia de bajos recursos, bajos ingresos. Somos pobres, no somos ricos. Muchas gracias.
Good evening. My name is Carolina Rios, and I live here in the city of Paramount in Rio Puente Mobile Home Park, and I've lived there for 22 years. And the reason that I'm here is to ask for your help because they keep increasing every year our rent, and we're low-income families. So It's not enough. We don't make enough. You know, everybody has the American dream, and yeah, living in this small homes is not very comfortable, but we don't have enough to afford the American dream. And I am older. I would like to retire. However, the amount that I would get would not be enough for me to survive because inflation is so high. And when we're here to ask for rent control, 3% annually instead of 8 to 10%. Plus on top of that, we have taxes and excessive cost on top of rent. So we're here for the community. Since we're all a family, we're all here to support each other as a family. So that's what we're asking for. And again, you know, we're low-income families. We're poor. We're not rich. Thank you.
Our next speaker card, Madam Mayor, is Miss Maria Castellon from 16511 Garfield Avenue.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, panel. And the first time being here, I did not prepare a speech, of course. Let me share with you that 10 years ago, I came to live with my mother at the mobile home estates. My father had passed away. My mother was making a small income with the Social Security. And being there and looking around at my neighbors, they started asking me to speak or say something about the issue that we have. Every year we get a notice that there's 10% increment in our rent. And my mom and most of my neighbors are very comfortable living where they are because they're in their later stage of their lives, they're 55 and up. However, this 10% that they give us to pay each year, I've noticed that it's been a great increase. If it wasn't that I was invited to be with my mother because of my dad passing away, my mother could not survive it. She would just pay rent and she would be without having anything else to do. She wouldn't have the income to do anything else other than that. And in talking with the neighbors, I realized that they are a little bit worse off than my mother is. Most of them don't have anyone. And so what they have is just their income to go by. And when I first started living there, her rent was nearing $500. And soon enough, in 10 years, it's over $1,000. And so I'm asking that, even though I'm here by myself, there's a couple of other people from my building, from my complex, 5 people that are not able to come. They asked me if I would speak for them as well. They tell us it's 10%, and now these units are over 1,000. And I know that utilities need to be taken care of, and anything else that requires a mobile home estates to continue working as they are. However, we can see that it's actually like an abuse on our elderly. And even though I am that age, I live with folks that are in their 80s. And if they're not able to pay their way of in their small life, then what's going to happen to these folks, my mother included? So I ask that all of you kind of look around and see what you can do, if there's anything that you can help our folks with. And that's just my complex, and I know that there's other complexes that are going through the same thing. Basically, that is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I?
Yes, you may.
2 questions. Which mobile home park are you from?
I'm at right behind Jackson School, right behind the elementary. I just know my address, 16511.
No, just the name of the park is Garfield.
MH?
Mobile home estates, no?
Mobile home estates, yes.
Mobile home estates. Yeah. And you mentioned a 10% rent increase.
That is what they.
And you said every year.
Every year. And that is,
for how many years have you been getting a 10% rent increase?
It's been easily about 2014 that I started noticing.
2014, 10% every year.
Every year.
Okay.
And at first I had not noticed such matters of, we would just pay it. And then it started to dawn on me that my mother would not be able to handle this. And I started to get more acquainted with the neighbors, and the same situation is going for them. And my mother's 87, and other folks are in their 80s as well, late 70s, 80s. So
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Castellon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Madam Mayor, is Miss Maria Amaya, also from 16511 Garfield Avenue.
Muy buenas tardes. Yo creo que estamos todos acá, mis compañeros, por la misma razón. Estamos preocupados por que de verdad, como dijo la primera señora que habló, somos personas de bajos recursos. Y estamos, a veces nos vemos en muchas dificultades para poder pagar, porque tenemos cuando yo llegué en el 2007, pagábamos una cantidad que se nos hizo justa para personas senior. El lugar era senior cuando llegamos. Y luego se nos ha ido aumentando, ahora pagamos más de $1,000 por el espacio. Aparte de eso, tenemos que pagar taxis al año dicen la propiedad o por el espacio, pero tenemos que pagar taxi. Y les agradeceríamos en verdad si nos ayudaran. Les agradezco mucho. Gracias.
Good evening. I believe that we're all here today, my colleagues and I, for the same reason. We are worried, really, as the first person who spoke said, as you know, we are people of low income. And sometimes it's very difficult for us to pay, because when I first got there in 2007, I used to pay a certain amount, and I thought that was fair for seniors, because when I first got there, it was for seniors. But now they've increased it, and now I'm paying $1,000 for the space. And on top of that, we have to pay taxes every year for property taxes or space taxes, but we have to pay taxes. So we would just be very grateful if you helped us. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Mayor, our next speaker's card is Ms. Adela Herrera, and she's from 16601 Garfield Avenue.
Yo vivo en Golden State Park, en Cherry. It's a senior park, supposed to be a senior park. En pagamos cada mayo, nos aumentan la renta. Tengo 22 años viviendo ahí. Ahora, si yo no trabajara, yo no podría vivir ahí. Pagamos, como dice la señora, taxis, la basura sube. Cada año sube renta, sube la basura, sube el gas, sube el agua. Nos cobran todo. Y cada año. Aquí estamos bastantes de ese parque con el mismo problema, y agradezco a Paramount que se fijen en nosotros y se preocupen.
Good evening. I live in Golden State Park, the one that's off of Cherry, and it's supposed to be for seniors. But every May they increase our rent. And I've been living there for about 22 years, and if I wasn't working, I would not be able to live there, because every year we have to pay taxes, and on top of that, the trash increases, the rent increases, the gas increases, the water increases, and they're charging us for everything every year, year on year. So there's a lot of us here, a few of us, for the same problem, and I would just like to thank you for taking us into consideration and helping us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the next three speaker cards, Madam Mayor, are from 16707 Garfield Avenue. First off is Mr. Valentin Avilar.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos aquí presentes, en especial a todos los que están aquí. Mi nombre es Valentín Avelar. Igual que todos mis compañeros, estoy por una razón de el incremento a la renta, ¿no? No queremos que nos lo den gratis, no free, pero que sí sea algo justo, ¿me entiendes? El 3%, no el 10%, que haga un control, ¿me entiendes? Que no haga nomás subirlo por subirlo. Vivimos en la 16707 en Cherry. Es una corporación. No estamos hablando de un dueño que tiene una casita. Estamos hablando de 200, 300 espacios, ¿me entiendes? Es mucho, ¿me entiendes? Entonces, creo yo que sí. Quiero plantar un árbol hoy aquí, en compañía de todos mis compañeros, y que ese árbol dé fruto. ¿Me entiendes? Quiero que alguien alce la mano y diga, aquí estamos por ustedes. Como nosotros estamos cuando ustedes en sí, nosotros estamos con ustedes, ¿me entiendes? Créanlo, ¿me entiendes? Y lo tomamos en cuenta. Yo soy de pocas palabras, no tengo educación para hablar, ¿me entiendes? Pero hoy me animé a hablar porque veo esa necesidad, ¿me entiendes? De hablar. Porque no, si nos quedamos sentados y no hablamos, de nada sirve eso, ¿me entiendes? Entonces, sí, por favor, yo les pido, ustedes tienen el conocimiento, tienen el poder, tienen la llave de poder hablar con personas cómo se maneja esta situación, ¿verdad? Entonces, gracias por su tiempo. Yo todavía ni llego a mi casa, vengo de mi trabajo, porque me miré la necesidad y me tomé el valor de estar aquí con ustedes. Primera vez que estoy aquí hablando contra personas como ustedes y con mis compañeros. Gracias y espero que hoy sembremos un árbol y que ese árbol dé frutos, que no sea un árbol estéril, ¿me entiendes? Estoy convencido de que ustedes nos van a ayudar, ¿me entiendes? No por arte de magia, pero sí, creo que sí lo vamos a lograr, ¿me entiendes? Espero encarecidamente que nos pongan atención, como nosotros se las ponemos a ustedes. Créanlo que sí lo hacemos. Yo en lo personal, yo sí lo hago, ¿me entiendes? Y puedo recordar los nombres de cada uno de ustedes cuando los veo allá afuera pidiendo, hoy sí, que nuestro voto, ¿me entiendes? Para cada uno de ustedes, ¿me entiendes? Gracias, muy amables.
Please refrain from clapping.
Por favor, no aplaudan. So thank you. Good evening. My name is Valentina Velar, and as they've said, I'm here for the same reason. Our rent keeps going up, and we're not really asking for anything. We're not asking for it to be free. We're just asking for something that's fair. 3%, not 10%. It's just something. It keeps going up, and it keeps going up. And I do live off of 6707 Cherry, and it's a corporation. It's not like it's a owner of a single home. We're talking about 200 to 300 spaces, you know? And what I'm here to do with my colleagues is to plant a seed for a tree here that will bring us some fruits. And we're here for you, and we hope that you are here for us, just like we are there for you. I'm not a person that has a lot to say. I'm not very educated, but I did have the courage to come here today because I saw the need for it. And if we stay quiet, we're not going to get any help. So we're here, we're asking you because you have the knowledge, you have the power, you have the key to speak to people. And I decided to come to this meeting here for the situation. So thank you for your time. I actually haven't even gone home yet. I came straight from work because I saw that this was something that needed to be done, and I really had the courage to come here. This is my first time speaking to anyone like you and in front of people and with my colleagues, so I would like for that seed to be planted, and I don't want that tree to be sterile. I'm convinced that we will be able to accomplish this if you help us. I don't think it's going to be done through magic, but I do think it's going to be achievable. So please, pay attention to us, listen to us, just like we do you. I remember all your names, when you come around asking for our vote. So I hope you do the same. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Moreno, I'd like to say a few words. I'm going to ask that everyone in this room respect the rules of decorum and refrain from clapping before, during, and after the speakers. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Moreno, you may go ahead. Continue. Yes, ma'am.
Not everybody has headphones, so if you like, I could just repeat that in Spanish.
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Thank you.
Un momentito, la alcalde quería compartir aquí un mensaje, ya que no todos tienen los audífonos. Si solamente pueden respetar las reglas del decoro aquí en esta cámara, simplemente eviten ya sea hacer algún sonido o también aplaudir al final de algún comentario, por favor.
Thank you.
All right. Ready for the next one? Okay, Madam Mayor. Next one is Ms. Gabriela Arambla, who's also from 16707 Garfield.
Muy buenas tardes. Muchas gracias por tomarse la molestia de venir a escucharnos. Yo represento a Cherry Villaje. Venimos todos pidiendo lo mismo. Nada más que también nosotros tenemos un pequeño problema. Seguimos con el problema de la basura. Nos cambiaron de contrato para otra compañía. Y si antes teníamos 6 botes de basura solamente, ahora nada más estamos teniendo 3 botes para más de 100 viviendas. Y se esparcieron, nos quitaron los demás botes para reciclaje y para lo verde. Entonces no se nos hace justo, incluso no todo el tiempo pasa la basura, no todos los días. A veces los botes no quieren que los llenemos de más, pero también no se nos hace justo estar pagando tanto dinero por la renta de la casa, los biles, aparte la basura. Y nosotros estamos pidiendo que si nos hacen el favor de que nos den botes individuales en cada casa para evitar todo este tipo de conflictos y problemas. Antemano se los agradezco muchísimo por estar escuchando todos nuestros problemas. Que pasen muy buenas noches. Gracias por todo. Gracias, mija.
Por favor, por favor. Good evening. Thank you for listening to us. I live in Cherry Village, and we're all asking for the same thing here. Just on top of that, we have a small problem with the trash. They switched our contract to another company recently, and instead, before we used to have 6 bins, now we only have 3 for over 100 homes. And they removed the other bins as well for recycling, as well as for green waste. And we don't think that's fair. On top of that, the trash doesn't come by for pickup every day. And on top of that, they don't want it to overfill. So we just don't think it's fair that we're paying so much for rent, for bills, and the trash. So we're just asking here for a favor, if we can get individual bins per home to avoid any problems or any conflict like this. So thank you so much for listening in advance and for your time. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Mayor, last speaker's card for general public comments was from Consuelo Avina. Consuelo Avina.
Buenas tardes. Vengo de la Cherry Villaje, que así como mis compañeros, ya estamos cansados de que seguido nos suban la renta, la basura. Hace poquito pagábamos $33 de basura. Ahorita nos subieron casi $70. Yo tiro basura como 2 veces a la semana. Y muchas personas dejan la basura en el suelo. Y por esas personas nos están subiendo a todas. Y la renta cada rato nos la suben. Ya no hallo si comprar comida o pagar renta, piles, que aseguranza de la traila. El espacio, pues, porque pues el espacio no es de nosotros, nomás el puro cajón. Pero así pagamos taxes cada año. Y los taxes también nos los suben. Yo pagaba 150, ahorita pago $300, nomás de puros taxes. La luz, bueno, la luz es aparte, ¿eh? Gas, agua, drenaje, basura. La verdad ya no podemos. Yo vivo sola, yo estoy sola. Ya pago como $1,200 de renta con biles. Que el carro, que la aseguranza, ya no hay ni qué. Porque la renta cada rato nos la suben. Y ahorita en mayo nos la van a volver a subir. Vengo a decirles, a pedirles, a suplicarles que por favor nos ayuden. Porque la verdad es mucho estrés. Es puro estrés el que trae uno. Tengo que trabajar. Yo estoy sola, como le digo. Y pues ya, la verdad, ya no puedo. Es todo, muchas gracias.
Hi, good evening. I'm also coming from Cherry Village, and as my colleagues mentioned, we're really tired of the rent is often being increased, the trash. Just a little while ago, we were only paying $33 for trash, and now I'm almost paying $70. And I hardly take the trash out. I take it out maybe 2 times a week. And there's a lot of people who are just leaving their trash in their floor, and because of all those people, our trash is increasing. So our trash is increasing, our rent is increasing often. I really can't figure out whether I should buy food, whether I should pay rent, should I pay my bills, should I pay for the trailer, the insurance for it, the space that's not ours. Really the only thing that we own is that little box. On top of that, we got to pay taxes every year, and every year they increase. I used to pay $150, and now I'm paying close to $350 in taxes. On top of that, we got electricity, we got gas, we got water, we got drains, we got trash. I can't do it anymore. And honestly, I live alone, and on my own, I got to pay $1,200, including the bills. Plus, on top of that, we got to think about our cars, our insurance. I can't figure it out anymore. And our rent just keeps getting increased often, and it's going to happen again in May. So I'm here to ask you, beg you, plead that you help us. It's just stress, so much stress that we all have, and I have to work, and I don't know what I'm doing. I really can't do it anymore. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
John Moreno, City Manager, can you please remind them that we're having a meeting on Thursday with Councilmember Olmos and Councilmember Lemons will be there
Absolutely.
representing the City Council, please.
Absolutely, Ms. Questions, and then Abigail, if you can translate. Just a reminder, I mentioned earlier the City Council Subcommittee on Homelessness, which is composed of Vice Mayor Lemons and Councilmember Olmos, is hosting a meeting at 4:15 this Thursday, January 30th, at Progress Park Plaza. That's 15500 Downey Avenue. There are three representatives that were picked by MH Action to represent you as residents, and 3 representatives from the Mobile Home Park ownership that will be representing them to discuss an agreement. Am I speaking too fast, Abigail?
You're fine.
Okay. To discuss the formation of a rental agreement that would institute some form of control when it comes, or stabilization when it comes to the rents. So again, that's this Thursday, 4:15 p.m., Progress Park Plaza. There will be an informational session that's open to everybody, so you can learn about what an MOU is.
Ok, de nuevo, solamente les quería mencionar que va a haber una junta de ayuntamiento con el subcomité de indigencia que conlleva a la vicealcaldesa Olmos y a la concejal Lemons. Eso se va a llevar a cabo este jueves a las 4:15 de la tarde. Va a ser en Progress Park Plaza, en la 15500 Downey Avenida. Va a haber 3 representantes que fueron elegidos por MH Action para representarlos a ustedes como los inquilinos, al igual que también va a haber 3 representantes de los parques Mobile Home, de los dueños. Y eso es para hablar sobre llegar a algún acuerdo, para que se forme algún tipo de acuerdo de la renta, para que haya algún tipo de control o estabilización en la renta. Así que de nuevo, se va a llevar a cabo el jueves a las 4:15 en Progress Park Plaza. Va a ser una sesión de información abierta para todos para ver si podemos llegar a un what is it, memorandum?
Yeah, a memorandum of understanding.
Okay, para ver si podemos llegar a un memorándum de entendimiento.
One more thing too, Abigail. And for the 2 of the 3 representatives are here with us tonight. One of them is in the back, Mr. Jose Angel Garcia. Mr. Garcia, if you can raise your hand. That is one of your representatives. Your other representative is Miss Carolina Rios. Miss Rios spoke earlier. She's right there. So you're more than happy to speak to her outside if you want, or if you want to wait and speak to her on Thursday, either one of those two, to explain to them what you would like to see in the agreement.
Una cosita más, dos de los tres representantes que fueron electos están aquí esta noche. Tenemos al señor José Ángel García, si nos puede alzar la mano, por favor, allá atrás. También tenemos a la señora Carolina Ríos, que también habló, aquí está. Si gustan hablar con alguno de ellos dos afuera, lo pueden hacer, esperarse a hablar con ellos, o si quieren esperar hasta hablar con ellos el jueves para que les puedan explicar lo que está sucediendo y lo que les gustaría ver en este acuerdo.
And one last thing, Madam Mayor.
Yes, you may.
Gabriela, can you please let them know there's 5 of us, but there's only 2 representing us?
Okay.
Because I received that question at the grocery store.
Ok. También para que sepan, aunque hayan 5 miembros del concilio, solamente hay 2 que los están representando. Who is it? I'll read your names. Es la vicealcaldesa Lemons y la concejal Olmos.
Thank you.
And that concludes the public comments.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo.
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos.
Yes.
Councilmember Quer Stallings.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lemons.
Yes.
Mayor Delgadillo.
Yes. Now, oh, excuse me. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, want to give them a chance to clear the chamber?
Yeah.
They want to stay.
Yes, we're going to pause at this moment. So if you'd like to leave the chamber, you may do so at this time. Thank you.
You can stay for the rest of the agenda if you want, but we're going to go into business. So if you're not interested in what's on the remainder of the agenda, we'd like to give you an opportunity to leave. And I don't know if you want to just interpret there, Isabel?
Sí, les vamos a dar un momento a los que quieran salir de la sala, porque vamos a continuar, son bienvenidos para quedarse, pero vamos a continuar con el negocio de la Junta. Entonces, si quieren pasar afuera, este sería el momento. Que pasen buenas noches.
Si no, lo vamos a examinar mañana a las 4, ¿ok?
Jueves, Brenda.
Jueves, ¿no es mañana?
Jueves. No, miércoles.
See? I don't even know what day it is.
Today's week.
Thursday. Oh yeah, I thought tomorrow was Thursday.
Trying to confuse the rest of us, Brenda. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, yeah, but I mean, there's I'm sure there's more to it, right? And
I want some pretzels.
Yeah.
see that?
Oh.
Man. I told John that there's different
Yeah, so I think maybe just.
point on Oh, yeah, the Garfield one. Right. You did the right thing. You did, you did. You got our back. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we will continue our council meeting with new business. And our first item for new business is an oral report providing an update on the Clearwater specific plan. Mr. City Manager, may we have the report, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, as you just said, this first item is an update on a plan that is in progress, and that is the Clearwater specific plan. As you heard last year when we kicked off the crafting of this plan, it's a very long process that involves lots of public input. We've held individual briefing sessions with each of you as well to delve deep into the details of this plan. I want to reemphasize that we're still months away from bringing to you a draft of the plan for your approval. You may recall that at the December meeting, a property owner within the proposed Clearwater specific plan area spoke to the council about his concerns. At that meeting, staff received direction from the council to present an update on the plan at your meeting today. We're interested, obviously, in hearing your opinions on this plan. Should we keep things moving in the direction we're headed? Would you like for us to pivot on the plan to address the concerns expressed at the previous meeting, or any other options that we may have? So with that, I want to turn it over to our planning director, Mr. John King, who will give a brief intro and then introduce the consultant who is drafting the Clearwater specific plan. John?
Great. Yes, thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Mayor and council members. So as you can expect for the planning department, we are really excited to be putting together this plan. It is a very, maybe I can't do this with the mouse. We're really excited about this. Yeah, it's a key, one of the biggest and one of the biggest plans that this city has ever undertaken. Here we go. Just going to walk you through what we'll be talking about, just a little bit of background and a timeline going back and then going forward. And as John mentioned, we did have some good feedback from Mr. Bianchi on December 17. So, and other community outreach types of feedback from our events of all stripes. Get into some of our preliminary recommendations before we release the administrative draft of the plan next month to the general public. And of course, there's CEQA, so we'll be talking about that and then get into the next steps. Where do we go from here? So as you know, this property or these properties within the specific plan area, south of Rosecrans, north of Somerset, west of Paramount, east of the Union Pacific Rail right-of-way, it's pretty central. It's pretty much in the center of town. And the Clearwater plan has been around since 1987, so it's been on the books for many years. Several years back, to comply with state law and just to meet some of your goals, the city council allowed for housing. So there's the swap meet use is allowed. It's a pretty good mix. Swap meet, retail, commercial, office, industrial, and housing. So right now, the plan does allow for 22 homes per acre. So any developer or any property owner could voluntarily submit a proposal. That could happen today. That's on the books. Now, a few years ago, even more recently, you adopted the latest housing element, and that was certified by the state, fortunately. With that housing element, and to meet state law, we're required to change from the possibility for 22 homes per acre to 30 homes per acre. And that's for overall throughout the whole plan. So the state is basically making the city do that. But we do have, fortunately, the local control to decide where within this plan area, where those homes go and how they're developed, how they look. And not just the homes, we could get into the whole future the swap meet will endure for many, many years. I think the owner has expressed that the swap meet will be around for some time, but the form may change. It may shrink or move a little bit. There may be some type of more of a permanent facility. And that responds to their wishes and the community's wishes, which we'll get into in a moment. So you can see from the goal here, so while continuing to allow the swap meet and other existing businesses and uses to endure, the goal is to reinvent this area as a true community focal point, a gathering, like a lifestyle center with housing, some unique retail and restaurants, even some artisanal kind of areas. You might have the next little gadget that you want to make, and maybe you live right on top of that facility. And as we know, before long, there will be a transit stop, a light rail, the Southeast Gateway line at Rosecrans and Paramount. So that's all taken into account. So with that, I hand it over to Jose, and don't be surprised if I kind of pipe in the middle or kind of wrap it up. Jose.
Great, thank you, John. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Jose Rodriguez, and I'm a Senior Project Manager with MIG, and we are assisting the city in preparing the specific plan. And you remember me from previous meetings as we've gone over, talked about it prior to preparing the specific plan and getting a little bit of direction from the council. So my goal for this meeting is to provide an update on where the specific plan process is. I'm going to go through, with this slide, is talk about some of the engagement and the timeline that we've taken. So it's been a little over a year now that we've started to develop, get community input. We've had several meetings with Planning Commission and the council itself, but we also met with the community as well. We've had pop-up events. We've met with stakeholders. We've been talking with property owners. And again, additional study sessions. And we anticipate additional study sessions. You can see where we're at, but we'll have another meeting with the council. We'll have another meeting with Planning Commission, property owners, and the public as well. In terms of the plan development, we've also been building the plan simultaneously as we're going through engagement. And so there's been different iterations of the plan itself. And again, we're still working on the plan. It's nearly complete. But there's opportunity still to provide direction from the council and the public on the plan itself. Additionally, just recent engagement, we've met with stakeholders. We've met with the community organization MUSA and got input from that organization. Other events that we've done is we've done various pop-up events. We did a community workshop just right across the parking lot in the Clearwater building. We've met with staff, various stakeholders and property owners throughout the process. Key things that we're hearing, again, and kind of a theme a little bit of this council meeting is a need for more housing and more affordable housing. There is also still a little bit a desire to keep the swap meet, whether it's a portion of it or the entirety of it. But what we also heard from the community is more entertainment options. A place to gather for residents, whether it's restaurants and similar types of uses, as well as a more comfortable walking environment for residents. You have the park across the street and potentially a future light rail station as well. Recent community input, again, there's some desire for mixed-use buildings, allowing residential on the upper floors and retail on the ground floor. As I mentioned, complementing the key theme about having a safe place to walk. Some recent comments, desire for making sure that this new development benefits the community at large. And some people were okay with a little bit multi-story buildings. We're still working, and we've prepared what we're calling a draft plan. It creates different development zones. And as you recall through the council meetings and previous meetings, density was definitely one concern from the council. But what we're trying to do is create that flexibility for meeting that housing need that the state is requiring from many cities, hearing the demand for housing, but having that flexibility for a little bit of the higher density, but not having the whole thing as a high density development, but having various densities throughout the different zones. Now, the different zones also reflect, they're not just one type of use. Each of these zones are considered a mix of uses. Even the 2 residential zones allow for commercial development still in each of those zones. The one blue zone in the middle, again, to create that flexibility, it's called the flex zone. That flex zone allows still commercial, it allows light manufacturing and light industrial and residential development in that flex zone. And again, the densities also vary from the northern part as you move down because of where that future light rail station could go. On the very southern end, that dark blue, we're looking at more light industrial. We're calling it a neo-industrial, where they're more cleaner industrial, smaller building types. We want to move away from the large trucking type uses, but allow that flexible spaces for industrial and some of the uses that John had mentioned, and again, provide that flexibility.
I'm sorry, Jose. Could you go back one moment? Mm-hmm. Just want to point out, if you could, I have this mouse here. There are a couple areas that's labeled quasi-public. So where let me kind of jiggle it there. That's where the adult school is, Paramount Unified, and then to the south here is the church, Our Lady of the Rosary. I just want to make this clear: the church is absolutely not going anywhere. That is Paramount, this community's Catholic church. The reason why there's some provisions for housing is due to state law. So the state is requiring cities to allow for housing for a church property if a church wants to. So if the church comes in and says, "I have this proposal, this great idea to house, somebody who works as parishioners or somebody who works there," we don't have a choice but to review that. That's really important for this to have that in the plan, so we comply with state law and meet the wishes of the church community, and similar for the school property. So just want to say that.
Yeah, great, thanks, John. And just to emphasize too, the mixed-use town center at the very northern part, that is where the most intense density is, where we've identified it, and allows for residential development up to 6 stories, up to 90 dwelling units per acre. But keep in mind that it will be closest to the transit station. The density drops further as we go south. So in certain areas it goes up to 60, and as you go further south it goes to 40 dwelling units per acre. So the entire site is not anticipated to be really high story development based on the direction from the council, but to provide, again, that flexibility, to provide some density, higher density towards the northern part where the transit station's at, and then lower density further south. As we're drafting the specific plan, there are, again, the various zones have various uses where it dictates the different types of uses that are allowed within the zone. And as I mentioned, a lot of the zones provide that flexibility, allowing various types of uses within each of those zones. And then there are also development standards for each of those zones identified in the specific plan. Again, to emphasize the flexibility, there is a program in there that allows for what's called a transfer of development rights. And simply what that means is that in the event that some of the development gets built and it doesn't meet their full allowance of development rights, some of that could be transferred over. And there are some requirements for that to allow, but that it doesn't allow to go beyond what the maximum development capacity is identified in a specific plan. So again, it allows that flexibility between the zones to move uses over as it begins to develop. And if the plan were to be developed in phases, all that would take into account. And again, so that's incorporated into the specific plan.
And I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt, but if you could
John,
go back. This is what Jose just mentioned about transfer of development rights. This is one of the key issues that we want to bring to your attention this evening and get your guidance on, because this could have some wide-ranging impacts. So we have, if we think back to the map we showed previously, some areas are allowed for a lighter amount of housing. For example, this area here, it's kind of the mustardy color. That's the open space that's commonly used now for events. There used to be carnivals, that kind of thing. With transfer of development rights, if you were to allow that, and there would be a process for that, for us to review it on a project by project basis, the applicant or the owner would borrow some of the house. You could say borrow or some of the housing from, or not even borrow, take some of the density from one area, for example, here, and move it to that area, or take some of the housing density from this flexible area and increase the amount of the density, meaning, so that would mean more housing in that area, dwelling units per acre. So as Jose goes through this and we get to the end, that's just one thing that we really want your thoughts on.
Yeah, and that transfer development rights is really to allow that flexibility, because we know that in the future, the market can change. There's going to be different economic challenges, economic stresses, or opportunities as well. And so providing that flexibility allows applicants and property owners flexibility on development rights down the road. The specific plan does call out for specific approaches in terms of open space. There are some diagrams on there, but keep in mind, those are just concepts. As the development moves forward, whether it goes through phases, the specific plan gives the applicants options on the different types of open space to allow. But in order to study the plan for the environmental impacts, we created concept diagrams to show how open space could be developed within the plan, and recognizing the needs through your recent Parks and Recreation Master Plan, that open space is definitely an important component, not just for the specific plan for the city itself. Same thing for mobility. Again, we've identified the typologies of streets, meaning the widths, the characters, sidewalks, and how those different streets vary by how many cars they move through, how many people they move through. But again, that's also a mobility concept. When development phases in, the applicant can take advantage of the different typologies and recognize how different streets and pedestrian travel goes through the property. Again, what's shown in the specific plan is just what's a concept that could be developed, but there are specific development requirements in terms of using different street typologies, how many lanes, but take into account bicycle and pedestrian sidewalks and how they work all together. The specific plan also includes various illustrations in a 3D model that shows the different improvements through open space, the sidewalks, the public plaza areas, how the buildings interface with the sidewalks and the streets and public spaces, street trees, and so on. And it shows the different improvements that are required. And again, these are just illustrations and concepts on how it would be developed, but as the applicants decides to develop in phases, these are components that they have to address. In terms of timeline, CEQA is the California Environmental Quality Act, and this is where any type of project, whether it's a programmatic, meaning at a specific plan level, there's no project at this time, but it's the parameters of a project. California state law still requires an environmental impact report, but it's going to be done at what's called a programmatic level. And this is beneficial for future development. The city, in terms of preparing this EIR, helps for future projects, because a lot of environmental analysis is going to be done at the entire programmatic specific plan area. So if you have different applicants that go through and start to develop, they could take advantage of the CEQA document that's been prepared for the entire site. There was a scoping meeting that was done in January, and this is again with the city letting them know the other public agencies that they are preparing an environmental impact report. The environmental impact report, we're at the beginning phases to starting to prepare that, but we have to confirm the build-out numbers of the number of units and building square footages. But the scoping meeting, again, is just to understand if there are other from adjoining agencies, whether there's not only just adjoining agencies, but the public agencies that provide utilities, recognizing that we're letting them know that an EIR is going to be prepared, and if they have any issues or environmental impacts that topic areas that the EIR needs to address. An administrative draft EIR for city review is going to be done in April, later in 2025, later this year in more than a couple months. And then public review won't start until the summer, so in June and July. And there is what's called a 45-day review period that allows everyone, the public, property owners, those adjoining agencies, to go ahead and comment on the EIR itself. And then we're looking to bring the specific plan and the EIR for adoption later in September of 2025, so in the late summer, early fall. So just real quick, in terms of next steps, we're looking to finalize the administrative draft specific plan. It says January, but we'll probably be going into February to complete that. Have a public review into March so that the public and various stakeholders can review the specific plan. Have additional meetings with the Planning Commission in March, April, additional engagement opportunities in April, and then getting a final draft specific plan, a specific plan that's going to go forward to the public hearings, which we're anticipating in May and June. With final hearings in September. We'll bring this back again to the City Council in May, June, and before we go into public hearings. So there'll be more opportunity for both the public, property owners, and other stakeholders at City Council and the public to comment on both the specific plan and the EIR. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for that within the next 5 to 6 months. So I'm happy to. That concludes my my presentation. But if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Council, do you have any questions?
Madam Mayor, before we
Yes,
entertain questions from the council, would you like to hear from the speaker
Yes, Mr.
first?
Chair.
Oh, you would?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Just want to make sure what order you want to do that in.
Yes, we're fine.
Okay. About the Clearwater East specific plan from Modern Development, Mr. Bo Bianchi. Mr. Bianchi?
Hello, City Council. Thanks for having me, and thanks for requesting this update. I just received the presentation on my drive up here, so I do have quite a bit to say, but I'll try to keep it short. And my thoughts are pretty jumbled as I didn't have much time to prepare. So I was made aware this last week that I was on the agenda. I think this is a very unique situation where, unlike the last previous update you did to another specific plan, we are 70% ownership of that specific plan. So this is a great deal impact me and my family and the future and our future vision. But again, this isn't something that was spearheaded by us. This is not something that Bianchi came with a big grandiose project that we wanted to build and push through the city. So it's kind of happening in reverse, and it's very new to us, and it makes us, I only get 3 minutes, is that all I get? Well, I better jump to it. Told I'd get a little bit longer than that. Anyways, this project is of concern, and a major concern is just some communication that we've had in the past. Some of our points have been met. The TDR factor being added in is something that we wanted in there. We do ask that we try to go towards CEQA with a little higher density. This is a project that's not going to get built over at one time. It's a project that's going to have density added over years and years and years. So I think that hopefully will calm some nerves in the City Council's reservations about having density. So we would like to suggest a 2,400 TDR type approach for the whole entire property. And what we really want to focus on is, he kept using the flexibility, but I feel it's not flexible enough, and some of our concerns have not been discussed. I mean, the main goal from this whole project is to get a feasible project. It's a beautiful presentation. It's a beautiful project, but is it really truly something that's feasible and can be built in Paramount today? Not today, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, but what if it's not? And that's our concern, that we're just going to have to go through this process again and again as times change. So the flexibility is still not where we like. You have some specific guidelines on setbacks, et cetera, height requirements. I mean, we disagree, but that's up to you guys. A 9 or 6, 7-story building right off Rosecrans or off Paramount, and having elevations go down in the back, I think it should be. I think that's something that would be reversed. You don't have a 6-story building in Paramount. I think the tallest is maybe 3.5 with some of the current. Anyways, we're asking for a zone, to speak over a form-based zoning. So more broad zoning. You guys control the looks, height restrictions, setbacks, and so forth, but provide more flexibility in that plan. So unfortunately, 3 minutes is definitely not enough time for me to go over this. I would like to have some more meetings, especially with MIG and the city, to keep talking about this and request 2,400 units in the CEQA. You can get to that point. We can get moving on that. Doesn't mean you have to approve the 2,400. We can have more conversations and meet with each one of you, which I'm more than willing to do. And I think as 70% ownership of the Clearwater specific plan, all of this makes me a little bit nervous. So that's all I get.
Okay. Any comments, Council?
I just have a question, I guess,
Yes,
for our
go ahead.
education too. So like in a situation like this, where this is a huge development that's coming to the city, how do we, as council and business people, how do we come together just to understand what they want, what we're going for? That way, I mean, we only got 3 minutes to talk about it. So, I mean, how do we make that better for us? I mean, are we able to sit down together and maybe 2, just so we can understand what they're looking for?
Absolutely, the council can sit. I'm looking at our city attorney.
City
Just
attorney too, yeah.
yeah,
I'm just
just to
Oh,
wondering, like,
discuss.
just to educate us,
Good
right?
point. Very
Yeah.
good point.
You can all meet with Mr. Bianchi as the property owner. You can schedule a workshop with Mr. Bianchi where he can certainly be given more time as the property owner
Yes.
affected by this.
Yes.
So I think that tonight was scheduled as just an update
Sure.
on the specific plan and to get some initial feedback, but this isn't the end of the road, and there's certainly opportunities for one-on-one interaction and for more of a workshop type setting to have a longer discussion.
Yes.
I would love that opportunity.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I would really like to listen what your concerns are. And I think this is in the right direction. We need to meet with you, because I am concerned.
Right,
My parents sold it to swap meet for many, many years.
And that's
And-
something we
and
do
that-
not want to move, shrink. I mean, we have 20,000 visitors a week at that
Yeah.
property, and we service thousands of small businesses, make a living at
Yeah.
that swap meet. So
And that's how
that's not something, and with some of the suggestions of shrinking it, moving it, putting it in public streets is not something, that's something that provides for my family as well. So it's not something we're.
Mr. Moreno, can we set up a date? with
Yes, if
Mr.
I could just get a
Bianchi?
point of clarification.
Yes.
Would this be, it sounded like you were eager to do a workshop setting, so I'm assuming it would be a special council meeting, or would you like to meet with Mr. Bianchi and our consultant individually? I just need a little more clear direction on that.
I think that a workshop setting would be better so that all the information we get puts us all on the same page. Because when we have to do the individual meetings, we each get a piece of the pie and. then
You got it.
makes
You got it.
Question,
Full
maybe my
workshop.
question.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, we could definitely schedule a special council meeting then, it sounds like.
Yes.
That would. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's
If it-
probably
Under the
best to do a special meeting.
Because if it's part of a regular meeting, but he only gets still 3 minutes, so that's, I think what he's asking for is more time to
I
have.
need more
I think
time.
as part of the
We all
regular
need more
meeting,
time.
you can make it clear that this is a presentation from the property owner so that he's given more time, and that this isn't part of public comment.
Council, what do you think?
I think a
think
special
comments-
meeting,
I mean,
A
it
workshop.
would still be a workshop. He's just
Workshop,
saying
special
schedule it
meeting.
on council time, which just sounds good to me.
A workshop? Sure.
So he's saying,
Workshop.
yeah, he'll present it just like a workshop. It's just that it can happen on a council date. My
It has to
only
be on the agenda.
my only question about that would be if we have enough room on the agenda to accomplish both, because you usually have a pretty full agenda for us.
We
on
do.
both nights.
That's why I was thinking a
Yeah,
special
so
meeting.
that would be my only concern.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's just all the information. This isn't, it isn't really our typical, business. I think that, so, I mean, I'm hearing, and what I think is a workshop, definitely, so we all get the information we're saying. And it definitely will give us time to really dive into this there and answer any questions, because I think if it goes on a regular agenda, we are going to be looking at time and seeing, just how it fits overall. So I think just to be
that's my
fair.
concern is like, I don't know that we could fit in
Yeah.
kind of time we want
Right.
to spend with the regular agenda.
We're very
Although
busy agendas.
I love the
so.
idea. Thank you for offering it.
So, workshop.
Okay.
Workshop.
All right, that sounds good. Any more questions for Mr. Bianchi at this point, or a consultant who's still in the audience, or Mr. King?
But, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Probably more than 3 minutes.
Gather.
Yes.
All right.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
All
Thank
right,
you,
so we
Mr.
have
Bianchi.
direction, Ms. Luce, to go ahead and try and schedule a special meeting within the next, say, 30 to 60 days. Does that timeline work for you, Jose? Yeah, okay, great.
You know, if I could add, it might be helpful to include the Planning Commission, as you've had some crossover meetings in the past.
good
They
point.
are
Very good
decision
point,
maker.
John.
Good idea.
I like that,
Yeah.
yeah. Are you, is the council okay with
Yeah.
that? Having
Yes,
a
I
joint,
support
joint
that,
meeting
yes.
of the Planning Commission
Oh,
and
definitely. Yes.
council? Okay, we'll
Okay,
pull that
thank
up.
you, Mr. Bianchi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bianchi.
Okay, next we have the annual comprehensive financial report. Mr. City Manager, may we have the report, please?
Absolutely, Madam Mayor. This next item is something we do every year. We close the books from the previous fiscal year, and that ended recently June 30th of 2024. And then we present to you the year-end report. So that's called the annual comprehensive financial report, and this annual report is conducted by a nonpartisan auditing firm. The bottom line, we ended fiscal year 2024 with a surplus, and our auditor found no irregularities with our financial system. So with that, I want to turn it over to our finance director, Ms. Kim Sao, who will introduce our auditor. Kim? Kim, is your mic on by chance? It's on. Can we turn Kim's mic up? Thank you, Andres. Sounds like her mic's not working. Can we get
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Kim? Can you switch places with Grisel for your presentation? Thank you.
Again, good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. To add to what John just said, the Poon Group recently completed the audit of the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024. This report is an essential part of our financial accountability and transparency, and it provides a clear picture of the city's financial activities and overall fiscal health. Although we present this ACFR to you every year around this time, the ACFR is not just a routine report. It serves as a crucial tool for informed decision-making, ensuring that the city remains financially stable and well-positioned to meet the needs of our community. Additionally, it is an important document for external stakeholders, including rating agencies, grantors, and the public, as it reflects the city's financial integrity and stewardship of public funds. So as part of this presentation, Francis Coe, our audit partner from the Poon Group, will highlight key auditing standards and requirements and the city's financial position that is reflected in the government-wide financial statements. And she will also be highlighting the general fund, the water fund, and the long-term pension and OPEB liabilities. So with that, I will turn the time over to Francis.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and a member of the City Council. Before I start my presentation, I want to congratulate the city to receive the Certificate for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 2023 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. This award is given by the Government Financial Officer Association, also known as GFOA, This is an organization that gives out the award to state and local governments in the United States and in Canada for excellence in financial reporting. The city has been receiving this award since 1982. Receiving this award also means the city's financial statements prepared by the management are in accordance with the prescribed financial reporting model. So I have a certificate that's issued by the GFOA. I wanted to present that to the City Council. And a copy of this award is also included in the 2024 financial statement. So included in the agenda is the city's financial statement for the fiscal year 2024. And I prepared this presentation to kind of summarize the financial reporting. So what I will go through tonight is the scope of work, the required communication in accordance with AUC 260, and the overview of the financial statements and the audit results. So included in the scope of work for fiscal year 2024 is the audit of the city's financial statement. We also performed agreed upon procedure for the after-school program for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024. We also issued report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance in accordance with the government auditing standards for the year ended June 30, 2024. So here are some of the required communication in accordance with AUC 260. So you may be wondering what's AUC 260. So the AUC 260 means it's the auditing standard that's being clarified by the AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant. So this is an organization that's set the professional standard that dictate how we should perform the audit. So in accordance with the professional standard, our responsibility is to form and express opinion on the financial statement that's prepared by the management and with your oversight are presented fairly in all material respect, in accordance with the accounting principle generally accepted in the United States of America, which is the Government Accounting Standard Board standards. We also plan to perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance on whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. So the term reasonable assurance because the audit process involves judgment and sampling. So that's why we're not opining on absolute assurance, but reasonable assurance. So during the audit process, we consider the internal control over financial reporting. So when we come up with the field work, we do during the planning process and then doing the internal control evaluation. We'll look at different transaction cycles, including your financial reporting process, your internal control over cash receipts, cash disbursement, payroll, and how are the pension and other post-employment benefit census data being maintained, and the capital asset process and your long-term debt process. So during this evaluation of internal control, we evaluate the control to see if there's any control deficiency need to be reported, and also based on the evaluation of the control, we can design the audit procedure for year end, which is to validating and to obtain and to validate account balances through testing the account balances through confirmation or through additional analysis down to the account balances. We are also required to conclude whether there are any condition or event that could raise substantial doubt about the city's ability to continue as a going concern, meaning whether the city can continue to operate within the next 12 months after the report issuance. We are also required to communicate with those charged with the governance, which is the city council here, that during the planning phase of the audit, we send out a communication letter, and during the audit process, we have this communication related to your knowledge of fraud or any irregularity or related party transaction. And also at the conclusion of the audit, we have this communication to encourage two-way communication with the city council. We are also required to communicate ethics and independence. So we have complied with all the relevant ethical requirements regarding independence. And during the financial statement preparation process, And it's also the closing process. The management has to come up with some significant accounting policy, which is the policy that determine how the financial statement and the numbers, how they're being prepared, and how the presentation are being presented in the financial statement. So the city has disclosed all these significant accounting policy, whether it's related to how the cash is presented, how the capital assets are being capitalized, the useful life. So those policies are described in Note 1 to the financial statement. And during the year, the city adopted a new pronouncement issued by the Government Accounting Standard Board, statement number 100 related to accounting changes or error correction. So there are no other new policy were adopted during the year. And also during the financial statement preparation process and then also the closing process, there are several significant estimates used by management to prepare the financial statement, which including the investment fair value and the depreciation and amortization of the capital asset, including the useful life of those assets, and also net pension liabilities and net other post-employment benefit liabilities. So these are the significant estimate that's used by management to prepare those big numbers in the financial statements. Couple other sensitive disclosures. So Note 1, as I mentioned, is summary of the significant accounting policy, because that's very important to know how are these financial statements prepared. Note 7 and 8 related to the city's pension plan and other post-employment benefit plans, and Note 15 on several subsequent events. And related to the misstatements, there were no uncorrected misstatement reported for the fiscal year June 30, 2024. So of course, during the course of the audit or during the course of the the city's operation, management might decide to consult with other accountant to see if there's any accounting or auditing issue they want to consult with third party. So to our knowledge, there's no such consultation with other accountant, whether related to accounting treatment or the audit process. And then we didn't encounter any significant difficulty working with management in completing the audit. And we also did not have disagreement with management in terms of the accounting treatments or auditing procedures performed. So now the next couple pages is about the overview of the financial statement. As Kim mentioned earlier, we are talking about two sets of financial, mainly in the front of the financial statement. So the first part of the financial statement, as you read through the annual comprehensive financial report, is the government-wide financial statement. This is the government as a whole, including all the long-term items, whether it's the long-term capital assets or long-term liabilities. So now on the slide is a summary of the government-wide financial statement, talking about the governmental activities, which is your general fund, your special revenue fund, all those capital projects fund, and then the business tax activity, which mainly is the water fund. So the net position is the ending equity of the city as a whole. So as you can see there was $97 million invested in capital asset net with the related debt used to acquire or to construct those capital assets, and about $16 million in restricted net position, which these restriction came from external party, whether through laws, regulation requirement, or grant requirement that has specific purpose restricted by external party. So the city ended the year with a almost $20 million of unrestricted net position that can be used based on the city's discretionary. So the city ended the year with a total net position of $133 million. So this page is about the government-wide summary on the operation. So again, you divide it up by the governmental activity and the business tax activity. So you see the first row as the expenses. So these are the expenses to run the government program. So for the governmental activity, you have different expenses for different programs, whether it's related to the community development or the public safety or program related to the community service, or related to the operation of the water fund. So the city operating expenses for these programs was for $66 million for the year ended 2024, June 30th, 2024. And these programs are supported by program revenue, such as charge for the water services or it could be, the park and recreation fees, or it could be plan check fee or any fee revenue, or it could be grant revenue, whether it's operating grant or capital grant to support these programs. So for the year ended June 30th, 2024, the program revenue was at almost $29 million for the year ended June 30th, 2024. So the difference between these operating expenses and the program revenue is what we call the cost of service. And it's important to compare the cost of service to the general revenue or the tax revenue. So when you look at the middle row, the general revenue composed of all the unrestricted tax revenues, your sales tax, property tax, transient occupancy taxes, investment earning. All these general revenue are not restricted for any program. So if you look at the very last bottom row, the cost of service to tax revenue at 117%. So what that means is the cost of service is entirely covered by the tax revenue. So that's why taxpayer might ask where the tax revenue is being spent on. These are being used to provide the program. So these are the costs of the service, which is for the year at $37 million, and then they are supported by the tax revenue. So for the fiscal year in 2024, the cost of service to tax revenue was at 117%. Now, we're going on to the general fund, which is the main operating fund of the city. So comparing fiscal year 2024 and 2023, there was a $3 million increase in the fund balance. So the fund balance is breaking down into 5 different categories. The non-spendable are the resources that are not in spendable format, including your land held for resale or those prepaid items. It's not resources that can be spent. And you have the restricted fund balance for debt services, and the committed fund balance at almost $24 million at June 30th, 2024, which is about 60% of the general fund operating budget. And you also have the assigned fund balance that's being assigned for a specific project or for the pension requirement, pension payment. So these are additional assignment of the fund balance that's based on the city's discretionary, with the remaining fund balance at $2.4 million unassigned. So the increase is at $3 million from $47 million to $51 million. So here's a comparison of the operation of the general fund. So comparing fiscal year ended 2024 and 2023. So the revenue is a slight increase of $600,000, less the expenditure. So the expenditure has not increased about $14 million. The main reason for the increase was in 2023, a lot of the general fund expenditure are being supported by the ARPA fund. So those are the funding that expired last year. So the city used to take advantage of the funding, the federal funding, and provide the government services to the citizens. So that's why those are supported by a grant fund and not reported in the general fund. So the city ended the year with an increase revenue over expenditure at $3 million for 2024. So the next 2 slides are about the city's pension and other post-employment benefit. So comparing the 2 years, so the reason there's a 1-year lag is because the financial reporting model prescribed by GASB and also the CalPERS reporting, it's 1 year behind. So when you're looking at the 2024 financial statement, it's based on 2023 measurement date. So for the net pension liability, actually remained pretty static. Both year and about $12 million for net pension liability at the funding ratio about 90%. And the contribution made during fiscal year 2024 compared to 2023 was $1 million versus $1.5 million. For the city's other post-employment benefit plan, so the net other post-employment benefit liability went up from $7 million to $8.6 million. The funding ratio also roughly about 51%. And the contribution made during fiscal year 2024 and 2023 at $1.2 million and $1.6 million. So now the audit result. So at the conclusion of audit, after we go through all the planning, the risk assessment, and then also go through the year-end detailed substantive testing, we are happy to issue unmodified opinion. So what that means is the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respect. The significant accounting policy has been consistently applied. So those estimates are reasonable and the disclosure are properly reflected in the financial statement. And one of the required communication, AUC 265, is related to the communication related to internal control matters identified during the audit. That's also a communication required by government auditing standard. So if there's any internal control issue during the course of the audit, we're required to communicate those findings or those communication to those charged with governance. So we're happy to say that we didn't report any internal control related issue to be reported. So we really want to thank the council, the support, and then also during the audit, it's been a long process to complete the audit, all the way starting from April timeframe through the summer, and then September all the way to December, working closely with management and staff, and the support of the council. And I wanted to be on the record that a little confusion about the communication issue during the couple meeting related to the communication. So I want to apologize for that, but really thankful for the support from the council and also support from the staff. So with that, conclude my presentation. I'm more than happy to answer any question you may have.
Council, are there any questions? Okay. This item is for receive and file. Thank you, Francis, for your time and presentation. So, Council, we're going to move on to the next item. Thank you. Item 6 is consideration of an amendment of the agreement with Premier Aquatic Services, Mr. City Manager, may we have a report, please?
Absolutely, you may, Madam Mayor. Next, we're asking again for your approval on an amendment to the agreement with Premier Aquatics to continue serving as our aquatics service provider at Paramount Pool. Everyone from staff to the City Council to community members seems extremely satisfied with the job that Premier did last year in running our pool. There is definitely an increase in the contract cost for this upcoming year, so we'll need your approval on this as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Community Services Director, Ms. Yesenia Guillen, who will walk you through the item. Yesenia?
Thank you, John. I'm sitting up here now. Musical chairs. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. As John mentioned this evening, City staff is presenting recommendation for approval for Amendment Number 1 to the existing service agreement with Premier Aquatic Services, LLC. As John mentioned, in January 2024, the City Council approved a one-year agreement with Premier Aquatic Services to manage all programs at Paramount Pool, including swim lessons, recreation swim, water aerobics, while ensuring staffing with certified lifeguards, customer service personnel, which was super important for us, and an aquatics director. Premier achieved increased participation in extended services hours compared to our service provider in 2023. They definitely blew us out of the water. The swim lessons were offered for a total of about 42 hours, and they had close to 8,000 participants. But our recreation swim definitely was a huge increase. They offered about 24 hours of rec swim, drawing close to 28,000 participants in the summer. Additionally, the senior water aerobics was a hit. We had 2 hours per week with a total of about 400 participants. Our seniors loved them. Premier has received high satisfaction ratings from both city staff along with the community in the first year of service. As a result, the city and Premier aim to extend the agreement for the next 3 years, maintaining service levels until January 31st, 2028. There are two main components to running a swim program in municipal programs. This includes swim lessons and recreation swim. Prior to 2018, the city staff managed both components, then transitioned to a contract provider back in 2018 to cut costs, enhance liability protection, and ensure professional supervision. In 2023, the city sought out a new provider via RFP, published in December 4th, 2023. Premier then was chosen because of their experience and reputation, quality swim programs, and responsive to customer service. They have a history of providing exceptional services to various cities, including Mission Viejo, City of Murrieta, as well as offering their expertise in military bases and homeowner associations. Notably, the City of Paramount is their first in the LA County area. Given Premier's excellent performance, City staff is recommending approving Amendment Number 1 to extend the agreement through January 31st, 2028. The amendment includes an option for a 2-year extension based on performance and the city's discretion. Amendment Number 1 to the agreement will go into effect on January 29th, 2025, and continue for a period of 3 years, ending on January 31st, 2028. Service costs for years 2, 3, and 4 are outlined with adjustments for minimum wage increases and consumer price index, CPI changes capped at 3%. The cost for year 1 in the amendment of $300,700 was included in FY 24-25 adopted budget. Should the City Council approve Amendment Number 1, an additional appropriation of $12,100, it's needed to account for the remaining months of February through June 30th of 2025. The appropriation will cover the cost of spring lesson operation and 3 weeks of recreation swim in June. Costs for services for the years of 2026 and 2027 will be future extensions that will be appropriated at each year's annual budget process. With that, it is recommended that 1, the City Council appropriate the additional $12,100 from available general fund to account for the contract increases that impacts the FY 24-25 budget, and 2, approve and authorize the city manager to execute Amendment Number 1 to the agreement with Premier Services, LLC, to continue providing all aquatic programs, including swim lessons, recreation swim, water aerobics for the City of Paramount at Paramount Park for the next 3 years from the periods of January 29, 2025 through January 31st, 2028. That concludes my presentation, but we do have Dan Berneski, the owner and president of Premier Aquatics, along with Ryan Larson, which is the chief operating officer. And if there's anything I can answer, I'm sure they'll help me out.
Council, are there any questions?
Just a comment, excellent program.
I
Thank you
agree
for
with
coming
that.
to our city.
I enjoyed swimming there during the summer. Excellent. Everyone is on. The lifeguards, everyone is supportive on looking after the safety of the children in the pool. So, Council, we call for motion.
So move.
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, will you take roll, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Aguayo.
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos. Councilmember Quer Stallings.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lemons.
Yes.
Mayor Delgadillo.
Yes. Item 7 is an award of contract for the Progress Park Plaza Exterior Improvement Project, City Project Number 9352. Mr. Moreno, may we have a report, please?
Absolutely, Madam Mayor. Next is something that we all can't wait for. Excuse me. The award of contract for the long-awaited Progress Plaza exterior improvements. Yay, that's coming. Some time ago, the City Council approved the conceptual design for this project, as you'll see in a moment. Our engineers then put that design that you approved into plans and specifications and got it out to bid. As you'll hear, the contract amount is included in this report, so I'll turn it over to our Public Works Director, Ms. Adriana Figueroa, who will detail everything regarding this. Adriana?
Thank you, John. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. By way of background, given its prime location, Progress Park Plaza is typically used for city programming, regional meetings, community events, and city sponsor meetings. The facility is also available for rental to the public for private parties and events, and it is one of our premier facilities. The city was awarded grant funding from former Assemblymember Rendon to enhance Progress Park Plaza. Previously in fiscal year 2021, the facility received significant interior improvements. The next phase is to complete exterior improvements to continue enhancing this facility and utilize available open spaces more efficiently. Working with Studio 111 as the architect, the following exterior improvements will be made to Progress Plaza: new concrete paving and planters, outdoor overhead shade structures, shade sails, landscaping, new paint, and tile. Now, the next several slides are conceptual renderings of these improvements. You have already seen these, as this was previously approved by you in late 2022 and later with the award for design in 2023. Our architects calls this area the veranda. This image is immediately outside of the boardroom looking south. These improvements will allow for outdoor meetings and events. The shade trellis are mechanical and allow us to close completely to provide better shade if needed. This is the same area, again, the veranda, and the conceptual image is looking north from the landscape area. The shade structures you see incorporate additional lighting and are retractable. This area is called the backyard, and it incorporates many new amenities to our facility. It includes a built-in barbecue and fire pit. This conceptual image is looking east. And this image is looking to the northwest. Okay, the city released the RFP on November 14th of last year with bids due on December 19th. 5 bids were received. However, one contractor requested their bid be withdrawn. After reviewing the remaining bids, ARC Construction was deemed the low, responsive, and responsible bid in the amount of $1,646,401 with 22 cents. The total project cost, including the 10% contingency, comes to a little over $1.8 million. The city was awarded $1.85 million in grant funding by former Assemblymember Rendon, in which $1.6 million was budgeted specifically for the Progress Park Plaza project. Staff will be requesting the remaining grant funds from this project as part of the mid-year budget adjustment. And with that, staff is seeking City Council approval on this item. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Council, do you have any questions?
I just have a quick logistics question
Sure,
for education.
yes.
I'm sorry, did
No,
you have
please
something?
go ahead.
You know, when we look at infrastructure for Wi-Fi, since we're going to have something outside, do we look at that to make sure that there's like Wi-Fi that's going to work for the TV and stuff like that? Because
That is a good question, and I'm looking
curious.
to administrative services to see if the Wi-Fi is, I think the Wi-Fi is okay at the
Looking at me,
Progress
so I'm trying to
Park.
respond.
I'm just like wondering, because I mean, you know how you go to
Krista.
facilities and sometimes the Wi-Fi outside doesn't work, but we're building this great TV outside. I mean, have we looked at all that to see if it's going to work?
Yes, Councilmember Olmos, we would incorporate and work with our consultant and our IT team to see how we can enhance the Wi-Fi and
Wi-Fi,
connection and
just now.
capabilities.
Okay.
Thank you.
Curious, thank you.
Good point.
I have a question
Yes.
to Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
I didn't see anything presented here. I know I asked the question in the past, and maybe because it's not part of this project, but about the aesthetics of the outside of the plaza part, like where we have the tiered cement structure with the art piece on top and the planters. And when I asked about getting those redone, because they're just not up to par, I was told it was part of this project. And I don't see anything here. And so I'm just wondering how or when that's going to happen.
We can,
Because we just have some, like 4 boxes sitting around it with really poorly planted landscaping, and then some of the pots around the plaza are the same. And so I brought up that centerpiece because I just think it could be something stunning, and it's just a piece of cement with some poorly planted plants. And that's what I was told, that when we did this project, that would be taken care of. So I'm asking.
Sure, no, and to answer your question, Madam Vice Mayor, we do have that included as part of this project.
Okay.
The architects did spec that out. My recollection, I would have to look at the specifications, but my recollection is that it has lighting in that concrete area that you've mentioned, the 2 or 3 tiers.
Yeah.
I want to say there was tile, but don't quote me. I'll double check it. And then also a reconfiguration or a redesign of the planters.
Yeah, so that's, I just didn't see anything and a design on that, and I would hope that we would get to see that so that it's what we're kind of expecting. I'm assuming we can go ahead and approve this project and then see those designs
Yes.
later and edit them if necessary.
Yes. that
Yeah,
sounds-
absolutely. And I believe when, if I'm remembering, I believe Kirk from Studio 111 did present the veranda, the backyard, and there was a slide that included the front with
Yeah,
the
I
art
don't
piece.
remember, but I do remember asking about it.
Yeah, so let
because
me get a copy of that, and I can include it in the Friday memo.
That would be
Oh,
great.
good.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank,
Thank
you.
you.
Can we call for motion now?
So move. So move.
All right.
Second.
Okay, Ms. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Aguayo?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Councilmember Quer-Stallings?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lemons?
Yes.
Mayor Delgadillo?
Yes. Item 8 is consideration of resolution number 25.001, adopting the 2025 legislative platform. Mr. City Manager, may we have the report, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is something we do every year. It's extremely helpful to establish a legislative platform for the coming year. This allows us to quickly respond to support or opposition letter requests that we consistently receive from such agencies that we belong to, like the League of California Cities, Contract Cities, the Gateway City COG, and others. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our management analyst in the Administrative Services Department, Mr. Andres Gonzalez. Andres.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. As John mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and review the 2025 legislative platform recommendation. Some of the information that I will be presenting is a refresher for you all, so I'll go ahead and get started. So the city's first legislative platform was adopted in January 2021 and is reviewed and adopted annually by the City Council. The platform reflects principles and objectives approved by the City Council, providing staff direction and serving as a reference guide for legislative matters. It aims to streamline the city's position on legislative issues and protect the city's interests at regional, state, and federal levels. So this is just a brief diagram of the process, putting together legislative platform, receiving position letters that are recommended to us from our lobbyists or organizations such as League of California Cities or even Contract Cities. We will then review that proposed letter. If we feel that it aligns with our views, utilizing the legislative platform, we will then draft a letter, send it over to the mayor for approval, and then you all will be provided with a copy, as well as they are all uploaded on our city website. And there is a long list of our 2024 letters currently on our city's website that I will then go over in just a few slides. Just one slide. So this is, again, just an overview of the positions we took. We sent out over 30 legislative letters on issues, initiatives, things that were presented to us and that aligned with our legislative platform. Again, a copy of every single letter that we've sent out this past 2024 year. They are all uploaded on our city's website. You just go ahead and click on government and look up legislative advocacy. Again, this is just another overview refresher. Our platform's guiding principles, which is preserving local control, promote fiscal stability, economic development, and funding opportunities. And just quickly, our 2025 annual review process, we got with all our department heads, see if they had any initiatives that they come across, as well as connecting with a partner organization, League of California Cities. Staff will then review them. We sought out a couple of them that I will briefly go over, and that is how we went over this year's platform review. Again, so this another refresher, these are all the focus areas that we have currently on our legislative platform, but I do want to highlight our housing and land use, which was the one that we are proposing to update. So for this year's platform, we're proposing that, so they're all listed there, the 5 different initiatives regarding housing and land use. They basically support flexible housing rules and credit for converting high-income units to lower-income ones. And we are opposing penalties for the RENA non-compliance, ADU laws affecting open space, and unrealistic housing deadlines. So that's just a brief description of what those 5 initiatives kind of entail, and we're proposing to add to this year's platform. The next steps is adopting the 2025 legislative platform. Again, as I mentioned before, we will then receive different proposed letters, positions that the city should take. We will then make sure it aligns with our legislative platform, send it over to the mayor for approval, and then continue on the process with our annual review for the 2026 platform. Again, this is another refresher, the vision, mission, values, and strategic outcomes, and everything that we're proposing on this 2025 legislative platform aligns with our strategic outcomes. And it's recommended that the City Council adopt resolution number 20001. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Okay, we'll call for motion.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Aguayo.
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos.
Yes.
Councilmember Quer-Stallings.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lemons.
Yes.
Mayor Delgadillo.
Yes. Our last item is an oral report providing an update on the Public Art Master Plan. Mr. City Manager, may you please have the report?
Absolutely, Madam Mayor. This report going over the Public Art Master Plan, just to give you an update on it, we're going to give specific attention to one of the main features the City Council asked for, and that's a Public Art Advisory Committee to approve all art. We are recommending that the committee be comprised of a minimum of 5 and up to 7 voting members, with 2 of those members being council members. So you'll see that in a detailed report by Mr. King. So with that, I will turn it over to our planning director, Mr. John King. Handle the item, John.
Oh, great. Thank you, John. Thank you, Mayor Delgadillo and council members. And I'm presenting this on behalf of management analyst Sol Bejarano, who's been working very hard on this, as you know, the last years. You and the community at large have been helping out, giving your thoughts, and we know we had the that we call the knit around. That's the community art project to help gather feedback, and those which is now hanging here at City Hall. So we're really happy about that. So getting what you see is our jump into what we're looking at, but just to kind of a review, by ordinance, public art on private property. In the end, after being vetted by the planning department, by staff and the city manager, it goes to the development review board for their review and final approval. There's been, we've had a few of those. It hasn't been on the books very long. But an example would be, there was a mural by an artist named Mary Young. We presented that to the development review board, and they did ask for some changes. They thought they liked the concept in general, but they thought it was a little too dark, so she brightened the colors. So you get that type of feedback and that result. And then of course, we have art on public property, the roadway, or not the roadway, but like the street medians, parkways, or city facilities. You might remember, well, you do remember, I'm sure, the mosaic mural by the nonprofit Piece by Piece. That's at the community center. We're all very proud of that. That came out very, very nice. That was reviewed and approved internally by staff, and we did get some thoughts from council members beforehand, and then in the end, this had the city manager's blessing and went forward. So what we want to do with part of this plan is to, as part of our efforts to bring more transparency and community involvement, that's really important to us, is to change that. So the recommendation is to remove the development review board from the review and approval process of art. They're really good with architecture and that kind of thing, but our thought is it'd be better to have a middle advisory group to advise the council, and then the council would have the final decision on the larger scale, particularly the larger scale artworks, murals, sculptures, and programming. So we're recommending, we're calling it a public art advisory committee. So it would be another committee. This would be a standing committee. It would go on for, we would think, years and years, to be anywhere between 5 and 7 members that would, and including 2 council members, like your other committees. The mayor would appoint the council members. The other membership would be screened by staff, a combination of we think the planning department and city manager, and then be reviewed for approval by the council. So 5 to 7, we don't. That's a little flexible, and that'd be up to you. But we're thinking a minimum of 2 arts professionals, and that could be visual artist, performing artist, landscape architect, an architect, pretty broad. So a lot of folks there, and a minimum of 1 community stakeholder who isn't a artist per se, but maybe an advocate for the arts or just has a really good eye for artistry. And of course, backed up by staff. So we're happy to back up this proposed commission or committee. So what would they do? They would serve as really the key advocacy body. So they would be out and about in the community promoting arts in Paramount. So they would be like your commissioners, the eyes and ears of the face of you and your eyes and ears. And it goes both ways, listening and bringing their recommendations back to council. They would recommend a number of things. So once it launches, and we're thinking of July, setting a program, goals, policies, and guidelines. You know, we're really big on the mission, the vision and values, and we could have a subset with this group. They would review artists and the selection for specific projects on, again, city property and private property. They kind of all go through this group. Of course, there would be some exceptions. You know, we do have a interdepartmental committee, the action group that you've heard that we have select art that's reporting to act very, very quickly. So those are when we, touch up a wall with trying to think, right? Shakey's Pizza, touch up the wall with leaves with kind of a fakey leaf, so primarily to prevent vandalism. So that wouldn't necessarily have to go through this body. And putting together that work plan and going through the process for maintenance and conservation of our work. And kind of the next steps, I'm just going to do all these, voila. So given a timeline, the art master plan, we do have a draft that we're reviewing it at the staff level, and our idea is to bring that to you in March for your review, and provided you approve it, it'll kind of move on. And in April, what goes with the plan is an ordinance that would replace the current regulations that are on the books. And this kind of ties it all together formally. Once you approve, you can kind of get started with some of the elements of the plan. It's kind of a vision document, but the ordinance is regulatory. And that, it talks about like fees when a developer comes to the planning department with their proposal and pays their fees, how much are they going to pay, that kind of thing. So in April, we'd also like to have the city council review the advisory committee appointments, and then in May, we anticipate May being the adoption of the ordinance, and then on to July to actually get to work for that committee to get to work. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions about this.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, before we go. Hey, John, can you go back one slide, please? Just want a point of clarification. In April, advisory committee appointed by the city council. That's consistent with the annual mayor's appointments. So just an FYI, that's how this is planned. So.
Council, any questions?
Looking forward to it.
All righty.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
It sounds like fun. Thank you. John, thank you for that report. Thank you so much. Okay, now is the time for comments and committee reports, and we'll start with Vice Mayor Lemons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to report that along with Councilmember Stallings, we attended meetings in Los Angeles regarding Measure A to advocate that Paramount receive its fair share of the funding for homeless programs in Paramount. And also attended the Spanny Park rededication. The Learning Center there has been completely redone to make it more accessible for different kinds of education that can take place over there. It's a very busy center. It looks beautiful. The residents seemed really happy with what staff had done. So congratulations on that. Thank you. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. Next will be Councilmember Aguayo.
Okay, I'm looking at, I feel like I don't have that much today, except the Spanny Park rededication. Yeah, everybody that was there that utilizes or has utilized that center was extremely happy. It really was great to see that. So, as usual, everybody that was involved in that, you guys knocked it out of the park again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Councilmember Olmos.
Madam Mayor, I have nothing to report. Spanny Park has already been talked about.
Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Cuellar Stallings.
Vice Mayor reported on 2 events that we went to, and also Vice Mayor Lemons and also Councilmember Aguayo reported a couple things that we attended. One last thing that I did attend through the Gateway City Council of Governments, they had a transportation summit, and they spoke about how these projects are going, active transportation, street and roadways, highways, gateways, cities, southeast, Los Angeles bus transit and rail transit. So they gave us an outline, just kind of more or less how things are going and when these projects hopefully will be done. And last, I just want to do a shout out to all the fire station and also Paramount and all our sheriffs, our deputy sheriffs and police officers and departments that help with the fire disasters. I know that there's a council member that we all know, previous from Southgate, Denise Diaz, and she lost her home. And I know there's a couple other people that I met at our transportation summit that also lost their homes. And I just want to thank everyone and the first responders, everyone, whoever was included, and even our residents donating items for these people and residents of these cities. My heart goes out to you, and I will continue praying that everything goes smoothly for you, your family, and the residents of the cities. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Councilmember
Yeah, you know, I
Olmos?
just really wanted to say congratulations to the Paramount High School cheer song. They actually won CIF this past weekend. They're off to Florida, but I think it's the first time ever that Paramount High School has actually won this competition. So congrats to Paramount High School.
Yes, congratulations. Okay.
Good job.
That's wonderful. And also now, I attended the Spanny rededication ceremony along with my colleagues, and it's a very, very nice facility for all children in the area to gather and learn skills, and also, you know, to have help with their homework. And I'm really happy that this is for them. Now, Mr. Moreno, are there any comments from staff?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have 2 introductions of new full-time staff members that I'd like to do. Our first one is Mr. Stephen Alvarez. Go ahead and stand up, Stephen, wave. He's our new building inspector.
Well done.
Stephen actually started in Paramount as a permit tech working the front counter back there in planning in November 2022. He left Paramount then to become a building inspector for a private company, Charles Abbott and Associates, in November 23. He worked during his time with Charles Abbott, he worked for multiple cities in Orange County, such as Mission Viejo, Laguna Niguel, Cypress, and Los Alamitos. Now in Paramount, he mostly handles residential inspections like building, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, that type of stuff. And he's starting more intricate commercial and industrial inspections. On his free time, you can find him on the golf course working on his golf swing. So, good man. I like that. All right. And the next new employee we have full-time is Gustavo Medrano. Gustavo, stand up. There you are. Gustavo is our newest member of our finance team. He's now the new senior accountant. He comes to us from the city of Linwood with over 9 years of government accounting and budget experience, where he served as an accountant. He also lives in Linwood, and he graduated from Cal State Long Beach, where he studied accountancy. As an animal pet lover, he enjoys spending time with his 5 dogs and 2 cats at home during his time off. So we're excited to welcome Gus to the Paramount team, and we're sure he'll add great value to our team. And that concludes the introductions and comments from staff, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Now, council will go into closed session. Mr. Moreno, will you please announce the closed session item?
Certainly, this is a notice that the City Council will be going into closed session for 2 items for public employee performance evaluation as per Government Code Section 54957B1, the city manager. The second item is a conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency designated representative is Mr. Nicholas Corelli, city attorney. The unrepresented employee is the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council met in closed session to discuss the two items on the posted agenda. All 5 council members were present. No reportable action was taken, but a contract will be brought back to the next City Council meeting for the City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There being no further business before the City Council this evening, I would like to adjourn this meeting in memory of Dolores D. Stevens. The next City Council meeting will be held on February 11th, 2:25 at 6 p.m. in the council chamber.